So today we're talking about the series of myofascial balancing classes that we teach. And this is a kind of structural bodywork class that I would say, compared to most, we have a really strong focus on assessment. And that operates on a lot of different levels, very much including the segmental arrangement of the body. How are all the different segments stacking up in gravity? So that's a big part of our focus. And then how that assessment translates into the balance or imbalance within all the myofascial structures. So assessment is key in the approach that we're doing.
For me, having practiced bodywork for 10 or 12 years before really coming in and incorporating the myofascial balancing method into my work, it was such a relief to have the assessment be clarified and become a foundational component of my time with clients. I often felt before that I would kind of have a guess at what was going on in their system, and I'd sort of give it a go and do the things that seemed like they might work. But having the assessment in gravity and then tissue assessment on the table, it just helps for me to confirm that I'm on the right track. So at any given 5 minutes during a session, I can know whether the work I'm doing is heading the client towards the right direction, or do I need to change my strategy and try something different. So for me, even though it was a new skill to incorporate in my practice, the assessment, it has made my work so much easier to do and so much more effective. So that is partly why it's such a focus for us as we teach this work.
A couple of other things that are different about this work is that we work fairly gently, really not using any more force than we need to. So it's much heavier than, say, the typical craniosacral work or something like that, but lighter than a lot of what people think of as deep tissue or Rolfing type work. And we work generally, or at least we can work through clothing, and so we generally don't use lubrication, which is a whole nother, really, I would say, benefit in terms of your versatility of treating people and feeling like they don't have to be dressed or undressed a certain way for you to work on them. That's another big benefit. It also helps the cycle of treating or assessing, treating, reassessing if they don't have to be undressed.
Yeah. And gives a versatility of position. They can be laying on the table, and the next phase, the treatment might be them being seated or even standing up. Sometimes I'm working with people standing. Allowing them to remain clothed is another way that it just creates options. And so you can do the work directly on tissue or through the clothes, whatever's to your comfort or the client's comfort. And this work also is appropriate at different levels of depth. So the gentleness that Richard spoke of, part of how that's accomplished is through body mechanics and the mechanics of touch. And the other way that it's accomplished is by a slightly unique strategy of moving the bones, of utilizing the bones as one of the deepest interfaces. So if you imagine the depth of muscle way down close into the bone, ordinarily in, say, a deep tissue approach, we try to gain access to that deepest layer by bringing our tool, our implement, maybe the knuckles or the elbow, through compression all the way down to the level of the bone, which requires a lot of effort and usually has a lot of sensation for the client, strong sensation. And we can also reach that same layer by lifting the tissue away to a point of restriction and then having either the client move their bone themselves, or we can just move the bone. You can have a contact on the femur, and by mobilizing the femur, you're accessing that deepest layer of the quads or the adductors without having to reach deeply in there to access it.
So another way of saying that is that when you use the bone as a handle for the soft tissue work, you have the option of working from the inside out layer-wise instead of from the outside in. And essentially what we're trying to do in this sort of work is assess clearly enough so that you can tell in any given place what is the work that is needed. Is it more superficial work or deeper work? And you're essentially working on the layer that you need to work on as needed. Mm-hmm. There are 5 classes in this series currently in different parts of the body.
If you want to learn more about this, you can come and visit our website, www.craftedtouch.com. Written information about each of the classes and some of the specific videos that Richard's talked about. So please be in touch if you have any questions or interest in the work. We'd love to talk to you and share with you more about what we do. Thanks so much.